be very clear that being average is a choice. When you're making the choice to be average, you fall into this just terrible trap where you're now have to be reactive. You have to be on demand, not in demand. You got to answer that phone call at 11 o'clock at night. You got to be transactional focused, and you just become all about at the control of everyone else. You're sacrificing the family time, the personal balance, your ability to serve the clients the way that you really wanted to when you got in this business. I believe that everyone gets in this business with fairly good intentions. And because of the lack of leadership and the poor training and whatever else, that agents fall into this trap of just reacting to everything around them because they're chasing commission checks. Average is broke, average is burned out. And this is all about letting the business control you instead of you directing the business to the life that you want to create. Our mission is to change the algorithm. And if you don't know what that means, just go to Google and type in Realtors ARE and let it autofill with all the negative stuff that you're going to see. And our office is here to change the way that real estate agents are perceived by the public by just elevating the experience for the clients. Side follow-up is like, it's everything, right? Yeah. And it's actually the key differentiator between, I think, a very common misconception when I tell people that I work by referral. They're like, oh, you're word of mouth. No. Word of mouth is passive and is unintentional. I do a good job, and I'm hoping that someone is going to connect me later on. And most people fall into that trap, like, oh, that's what it is, and that's just how you do it. I have an intentional follow-up system. Even after we get the lead, even after we close the lead, so that I have intentional results that lead to referrals that we intentionally generate. I have the word freedom and autonomy up here, and I want to just make this clear distinction, because freedom is freedom from something. I want to get away from having a boss, or I want to get away from debt, whatever. I'm looking for freedom from something. Autonomy is going towards something, right? I want to go and create that life that I've always wanted to have. And I'm here to let you know that it is possible to have this business so that the business doesn't control your life, that you can have this amazing business that supports the life that you want to create.
It's high touch and high tech, right? Like, yep. And you're combining those two, baby, right?
But then you multiply it by high trust.
There you go. Yes.
When you do high tech plus high touch and multiply it by high trust,
yes,
that's the winning formula.
That's the winning formula.
Success in real estate. Earlier this week in his Buffini coaching live session, Brian Buffini said the number one emotion that agents are feeling right now is apathy. And it makes sense, because for the last 3 years, you've been on a roller coaster that you didn't even ask for. You were working harder just to stand still. And the data proves it. Right now, 1 in 7 agents, or 1 in 7 listings are being withdrawn, and 1 in 7 transactions are canceling. Agents are reporting that they have to do 20 to 30% of the same activities, more of the same activities, just to maintain last year's results. So more follow-ups, more touch points, and more proof of value. The client wants to know they can trust you. Think about that. You are doing the work, the calls, the showings, the negotiations, only to have the paycheck evaporate at the finish line. That's the definition of burnout. And if nothing changes, here's what we're going to see as the result. Brian Buffini quoted that NAR is predicting that NAR is budgeting that 240,000 agents will leave the industry in 2026. That's 20% of the workforce gone. If you're treating this business like a hobby, you will be one of them. But that's not why we're here today. Buffini also said that agents are craving two things: hope, which he defines as confident expectation, and a plan, a roadmap of exactly what to do. And today, I'm going to give you both. We are going to break down exactly what is happening in the market, why the old brokerage models are failing, and give you the specific plan you need, not just to survive in 2026, but to dominate. Let's look at the numbers. So the big claim that Brian Buffini says is that we are back to 2019 numbers. And when you look at the data on the national level, the data supports it. The number of homes for sale on the market are back to 2019 numbers. That's the days on market, 2019 numbers. We have basically gone through this artificial market that has occurred through COVID just to get back to where we need to be to 2019. And I don't like using the words normal market, because what is a normal market, right? I've been in this business for over 19 years, and I don't know if I've ever seen a market kind of repeat itself. But when we say we're going back to 2019, we're definitely getting out of what was an artificial market. And the artificial market was doing a lot of damage to real estate agents' expectations, because when we had artificially low inventory, when we were printing money and giving people free money, when the government was doing whatever they could do during COVID to stimulate the economy, agents were banking and making their business plans based off what was artificial. So we are maybe not going back to what I'm going to call a normal market, because I just don't know if that exists, but we're going to what is definitely not an artificial market. And that is going to be huge for what we've got. So let's get into some of these numbers that Brian shared with us in the in Buffini Coaching Live. And by the way, if you haven't seen it, go to buffini.com. I'm sure that it's available for people to go watch. If you got to give them your information and stuff like that. But the Buffini Coaching Live session was phenomenal. So 3 hours, really well, 3 great sessions that I highly recommend. And I've been a big proponent of theirs for a long time. So let's get into some of the national data that Brian showed, and then we'll get into some of the local stuff. So here we go. Sorry about that. Wrong stat. There we go. Here we go with the median home prices for new and existing homes. You can see that we're in a 4-year run nationally of those numbers being very, very flat. Now, in our market in Louisville, Kentucky, and we'll look at this here in just a second, we're very fortunate. We've actually still seen an increase. According to another source that I love, Resi Club, we're one of the 3 to 5 most best markets, 3 to 5 best real estate markets going on right now. We're still seeing appreciation. We're still seeing prices go up. I don't want people to confuse the fact that you might see price reductions on a listing before it sells. Don't confuse that with the fact that the prices and the values are not going up, because we still are seeing values going up in Louisville, Kentucky. So you can see where they've been flat, though, in value for the last 4 years. We've seen a slight increase. Where we have been flat in the Louisville market is in the number of transactions. And right as in the middle of COVID, we got to a high of just under 20,000 transactions in the Louisville market. And the last 3 years, we've been hovering right around 14.5, which is a significant difference when you think about just the number of deals. Prices can go up, but we're still seeing deals be pretty low. Not historically low, not as low as it was when I first got in the business, but low nonetheless. So then we get back to the days on market. And this is where we actually do see that Louisville is following this trend. And we are sitting right around 30 days on market. So let's get into some of the Louisville stats, because I think this stuff is really interesting. Let me remove this, get back here. If you guys have never been on this part of RPR, it's so worth it. And this is the market trends. And I put in Jefferson County just so we can kind of get a look of what is going on in Jefferson County. And we can get an idea of, hey, we're sitting at 2.14 months of inventory. Now, why that's important? Well, because that is still a very strong seller's market. And I know it might not feel like that to a lot of people, but it still is a very strong seller's market. And that's why we're still seeing prices increase. It's actually lower. And I'm going to see if I've got this slide up there. I do not. It's actually lower than what the national average, at the lowest the national average ever got. The lowest the national average ever got was 2.6. So we're still in a very, very high market. So you can see sales price to list price 98.3. I know it was higher. Again, this doesn't mean prices are going down. This means that sellers have got to get a little bit more realistic. Where sellers might still be pricing their property like it was 2021. And so they're having to come down off that expectation just a little bit. 30 days, though, on market, as we see there, in a median sold price of 280. So this graph right here will just kind of show what is going on with that median value. And if that yellow line is the United States of America, I'll kind of toggle that so you can kind of see. And we can see the trends of the USA. And then we can see that Kentucky and Jefferson County are actually almost lockstep. Now, that part of the reason that is because Jefferson County makes up so much of Kentucky's market. It's such a big data driver, what we're doing with our median prices. But again, continuing to climb. If we went into the last year, you would see, that the country is really, really flat, but we still have a little bit of an incline in ours. And the 3-year definitely shows that as well. So when we come down then to what's going on, let's get down to the number of active listings. So this is based off October of 2025. And what we're looking at is a trend of the last 5 years of the number of listings that are on the market in Jefferson County at a given time in a month. And right now we're over 2,000. We've gotten very low. Like you can see here that we've been as low as 1,300. And this has been very cyclical of what's happened in the last 5 years, even during COVID. And I can kind of click on these to kind of show you what's going on with the median days on market. This has got it at 36. You can see where we're at a little bit of a climb. We can get into the median. This is the median list price, not the sales price. So you can see that median list price is $294.99. Median sales price again at $280. Now I find this to be very interesting, and I'll tell you why. We see that the median days on market for the entire market was 30. That was reported at the top of the graph here. The active listings or median days on market are at 36, but the ones that have been successful, median days on market is 28. And where this is important and what we're talking to our sellers about is basically, like, we know if we're going to be priced accordingly and priced right, that we should be in the top half of the sales, right? The median number is the dead middle number. How long did it take? And most of that means that 50% sold 28 days or less, or got a contract in 28 days or less. And so we can use that data point to kind of judge whether or not we're overpriced and how overpriced we may be when we put a listing on the market. So more data here. We'll go down to sold listings, the 280, the 30 days on market, $198 per square foot, 935 days. You can kind of go, we're going to look at the graph as a whole, and we can see this is again, month by month. This is not year by year, but we can kind of see the cycles of what's been going on in the market, and gives us an idea of how our market cycles on a month by month basis. But you can see that the overall trend has been that the market's gotten flat in 23, 24, and 25. We were at a high up here of 1,400 sales a month. And now we've gotten as low as, in the upper 500s, 535 in January of 2024. But it's very flat in 23, 24, and 25 as far as the number of transactions. Month of supply, just want to make sure that everyone understands what month of supply means. This means that if we took all the listings, nothing else comes on the market, how long would it take for us to get rid of the inventory we currently have? And you think of this kind of like the pH scale, okay? If a balance of pH is at 7, and the lower below 7 you get, the more acidic it is, and the higher above 7, the more of a base it is. I'm speaking science terms, it might actually be more confusing than actually going through real estate terms. It's the same thing. If if 6 months is a normal market, a neutral market, prices are not increasing, they're not decreasing, we would actually see that anytime we get below 6, it is a seller's market. Prices would be anticipated to increase. Anytime it's above 6, we would see prices start to decrease because we would be in a buyer's market. So the numbers here definitely show that we are in a still, and again, it doesn't quite feel like we got 2 months of inventory, but it is true, and that's where we are, and that's what the numbers put out there. So it's always good to kind of balance the two, like the actual data, what the data is saying, because that's the stuff that we can actually take action on with the context of what it feels like. But if you only act on feeling, you're likely to make a pretty big mistake because, the data might not play out. And I just want to caution anybody, this real estate is for all of Jefferson County. Even in Jefferson County, that's too broad of a scope. All real estate is local. And in real estate terms, I'm talking hyper local, right? So if you really need to know what's going on at a hyper local area number to really kind of get a sense of what's going on in your market. Okay. So that's what's kind of going on in the national side. Now, the other from a market standpoint, but I think it's also very fascinating to think about what this really means. It really means to me that the luck market is over. You can't just put a sign on the yard, cross your fingers, and wait for 10 offers to come in by Sunday. The market changes. It's changed that fast, right? We are entering what we all think is a pros market. A lot of people think that real estate is just opening doors and putting signs in the yard, but the real work happens in the details. And that's why we at RE Solutions are developing agents to be a pro. And when I say pro, that means that they're prepared, they're resourceful, and they're optimistic. So what does it mean to be pro? Prepared. Being prepared means my clients are never blindsided by surprises. I know the data before they ask. Resourceful. Means that we're a creative problem solver. When obstacles pop up, we have options, we have solutions. And in this market, they are going to pop up. Last number I checked, 92% of transactions had some sort of hiccup, some sort of speed bump to overcome. Only 8% of transactions go completely smooth. And then O stands for being optimistic, right? Optimistic means that even when things get stressful, I'm the calm in the storm, staying focused on what's important, my client. And when you really think about it, this is where we really dive in of what we do at RE Solutions. We are consistently bringing in mental health professionals because we know that the client is going through a move, which is consistently ranked as one of the top 10 most stressful life events that they ever go through. However, the other 9 things on the list are things that trigger a move. So there's a good chance that our client is going through 2 of the most stressful events in their life. And that's why for the last, probably since 2022 or 2021, we've started bringing in some sort of mental health professional on a normal basis, once or twice a year, to kind of help our agents understand how to work with a client who is going through stress. Because I'm tired of hearing buyers are liars and sellers are worse from us. The reality of it is that our clients are going through a lot and they need our guidance. They need us right there, and they need us to be optimistic, because if you're stressed out and scared, you don't need that person to be pessimistic on the other side, right? You don't want someone who's perpetuating fear. You want someone who's saying, hey, there's a route here. We can do this. You've got to be a little bit of a cheerleader. So when I get down to it, the job description of a pro real estate agent, because we're no longer just salespeople. Here's the job description. We serve our clients as their trusted consultant, advocate, and negotiator, guiding them with confidence and care through one of the most important financial and personal decisions that they ever make. And if you can do that, you won't be one of those 240,000 people that get out of the business. If you can do that, you could actually go into a world where you could be having your best year ever. So while we're focusing on becoming pros, I want to also paint the picture of what's going on with the giants of our industry, because it's a very different game that's going on right now for sure. And I'm going to call it the portal wars. Portal wars. We've seen Rocket acquire Redfin. We see CoStar spending nearly $2 billion on a company called Domain out of Australia. Compass acquiring Anywhere. These aren't just mergers; they are ecosystem plays. They are fighting to own the entire transaction, from the search to the mortgage to the title to the insurance, everything. Right? We know that Rocket Money right now is trying to get all the people to just say, hey, give us access to your account so we can see what streaming service you should subscribe to, so we can save you hundreds of dollars and help you through canceling all these streaming services and maybe getting your money back. But what they're really doing is you're giving them access to your spending habits so that they can predict when you're going to be on the market, so they can offer you insurance, so they can offer you a mortgage, so they can offer you a Redfin agent. Right? That is what's going on. There's an ecosystem play trying to make this as easy as possible, just so that you get on the escalator and let us take you for the ride. And all of that makes sense because they're really trying to become, how do they become the Amazon of real estate? That is what everyone wants to try to do. But there's one fatal flaw that Brian Buffini taught me a couple years ago, is that real estate has what it's called a last mile problem, right? And with Amazon, I get what I want. I pay for it right there, right then. It gets shipped to me in a couple days, and I've got my item, and that's it. If I don't like it, I can return it. And Amazon's always really good about that. In real estate, well, now I buy what I want, right? Which takes a lot longer than just looking online. And that's when a lot of the stress and anxiety starts to creep in. And you start to see that the panic, because when I say, hey, I want this, I don't give the money right off the bat, right? We got to go through all the due diligence. We've got to go through the inspection period. We've got to go through the title work and the surveys and the appraisals and all of these things that happen. And a lot of time in our profession, we go quiet. The agent starts to, the client starts to fill in the lack of communication with not the best things possible. And when a problem comes up, emotions are high and things can easily fall apart. That's why we've seen so many deals. Like the number of transactions that are falling apart is up like 500%, right? So now that last mile becomes where you've really got to perform as a pro. So yes, for all of those ease of transactions, like the 8% that I said that go smoothly, that can happen. But technology cannot solve that last mile problem. They cannot understand how to fix the panic. They don't have the trust in the client to get that done. So the client at the end of the day, they don't want an app. They want an advocate. This is the battle right now. It's trust versus ease. And in the absence of trust, the consumer will choose the easiest option, which is the portal. But if we can elevate the trust that we bring to the table, and again, you've heard it in the little intro video, like we're about high touch and really having just really good relationship building strategies with our clients, and having high tech that helps us be more efficient and doing all the back end work. And we do that, we multiply by the trust that we build with a client. That is the winning formula in real estate. That is what we're trying to do. And the cool part about this whole thing is that for the first time ever that I think that I've been in real estate, and I've been an independent real estate broker since 2011, I actually believe that while these big box giants are distracted by the Wall Street shareholders and integrating massive tech stacks, the independent brokerages like RE Solutions are nimble and agile and able to make quick decisions, and they're able to navigate what's going on in the market based on what the client needs, not the tech stack and everything else. We didn't lose 40% of our working capital with the lawsuit. We answer to families, not stock prices. We are doubling down on one thing that cannot be automated, and that's the human relationship. So the question is, do you want to compete on ease, or do you want to compete against billion-dollar tech companies? Do you want to build trust with your client? Because that's where you win. If you learn how to build trust with your client, that's where you win. So this is what we're doing at RE Solutions to really kind of help set it apart. So let me pull up real quick. I believe that every agent is basically forced with some sort of bad decision that they got to make when they choose a broker. They're either choosing the low fees, low support, or they're choosing the high fees and I'm going to say decent support. At least it's sold that way, right? And at the end of the day, this is what agents want. Agents want, when they got in the business and they stay in the business, they're in pursuit of one of these four things, if not all four. And I would actually argue probably all four. Agents want, and I'm going to change the view here a little bit. Agents want from their business a really good earning potential, right? If you've heard me talk before, you may have heard me throw this stat out that only 31% of real estate agents have a bachelor's degree. So what other careers could you have with the kind of earning potential in real estate, right? Because that's what we're promised, like unlimited earning potential. You can make as much as you want. You can also spend as much as you want and do a race to the bottom. They want freedom. I know that's one of the reasons why I got into the real estate business, is because I wanted freedom. I don't want to have a boss. I didn't want to have the confines behind me. Now, the thing that I've learned is that to really have the freedom that I desire, I must embrace maybe some of that structure that I avoid. And I've got to be my own boss and my own employee in the same business. Then they want to have an impact, right? At RE Solutions, our mission is to change the algorithm. Our mission is to change the client experience, and so that the client expectation is not what it is today, that we raise the bar for what, not only what it is to work with a client, but what it is to work with the other agent on the other side of the table, or what it is to work with the title company or the home inspector, whoever that might be. And then finally, they want autonomy. They want to be able to do it their way. But you were like, hey, Mike, you just said freedom. What's the difference? What's the difference between freedom and autonomy? Well, freedom is freedom from something. Freedom, it means that I'm trying to get debt free. I've got chains. I'm imprisoned by something. And autonomy means I get to do it my way. I'm moving towards doing it the way I want to do it. And I love the visual of Andy Dufresne in prison. He wants to be free from prison so that he can get to Zaywatch and AO and have the autonomy to do it the way he wants to do it. Now, if that's what the agent wants, this is what they want from their broker in order to make those things happen. They want really good agent development. Now, you got to understand, I did not say agent training here, and I did not say agent training very, 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 very specifically, because training is just one aspect of agent development. My good friend, Dave McGee, who taught me a long time ago that when you look at agent development as a whole, there's really four key areas. There's teaching, which is a transfer of knowledge. There's training, which is a transfer of skill. There's mentorship, which is a transfer of experience. And then there's coaching, which is a drawing out of potential. So one of the things that we evaluate at RE Solutions is exactly how to not only give our agents that kind of development, but to meet them at which part of the developmental cycle they are on. Right. And we use a lot of the Buffini and Company training to help us with this, right? The new agent comes in, they take 100 days to greatness, and they're going to learn exactly the habits that they need to have a successful business. This is why for years and years and years, we have focused on bringing in brand new agents. And I don't have 87% that don't make it 5 years. I have had a couple. I don't want to make it sense, but the majority of our agents make it past 5 years. And because we make sure that they're grounded in the right habits at the very beginning. And once they have those habits, they become a producing agent. They become a producer, right? This is a person who's paying their bills. They're making a living, but it's a little chaotic. There's really no structure to it. They needed to develop the mindset of a business owner and what it looks like when you're busy, to put in the systems to make sure that you're operating as efficiently as possible. And so we work on that mindset of a business owner to get people at what we would call a professional agent level, where you're running your independent business inside RE Solutions. And then if you want to grow and you've got an excess number of leads, then it's all about becoming a leader and having a team leader. And I would say that there's very few brokerages that are designed to take the licensee all the way through all levels of evolution to get them up to the team leader, or even want to do so. And for me, that's exactly what I want to do. I am a coach at heart. I was, before real estate, and actually the first couple of years of real estate, I was a basketball coach. I was a teacher. This is what I want to have happen. I want to see these agents develop into the best version of themselves. I want to see them achieve things they didn't think they could achieve. So that is what agent development is for us. And that's how we approach it. And it's a very hands-on, it's a group thing. That's something we do as a whole. We've got 12-week initiatives that start throughout the year that are going to start for us January 5th. We are going to take our agents through all those different initiatives so that we can focus on our core values and that we're driven by our core values and that we can help them build businesses as they go. But then I'm also working with them one-on-one. We're working with them to help make sure that they are on track for the life that they want to create, because that's what we're doing here. Going back to those 4 things, right? Going back to those 4 things, most agents get caught in the trap. They start chasing business. They never realize their earning potential. They're actually lose their freedom, right? Because now I can't be in demand. I've got to be on demand. I got to answer the phone whenever that client calls, but you can be in demand if you want to take control of your business. Because I'm chasing so much business and I've got to go from one transaction to the next, I minimize my impact. And I have no autonomy because I'm at the whim of the business. And I'm going to react to whatever the marketing conditions are. Meanwhile, you can be trained in habit and mindset and heart, and you can have the business that you really want to deliver on. That's what we're going for. And when you're in, and I'm going to skip tools and support for just a second and move down to culture, because when you're a group of people that are all operating that way, that are all there to lift each other up, this is why we call ourselves a family, not a team. And people always say, well, don't you want, all families are dysfunctional? I was like, yeah, we're no different. We're probably got a little dysfunction to us. But at the end of the day, families are all about, I love my brother, for example, right? I love my brother. I love my sister. But my sister's off being a nurse and my brother's off tasting whiskey every day, which is everyone's dream job. And I'm doing this, and I'll support my brother and sister and whatever they're doing as we're all pursuing our own individual dreams. And that's exactly what's going on at RE Solutions. We'll support each other as we're all pursuing our own individual dreams. Something we call unified autonomy. We're unified under the same values, same core values, the same way we work, the same methodologies, the same training, but we have the autonomy to go after the business the way we want to go after the business. So this takes a ton of tools and support. And this is the thing that I'm probably the most proud of right now, because not only do we have an amazing support staff of a great marketing coordinator who's been in the business for over 25 years, a great business development person who worked at Leadership Louisville for 11 years, an incredible operations manager who is incredibly detailed and holds us all together. And then, I'm not too shabby myself. I'd like to say I am a certified expert in not only relational lead generation strategies, but also short cycle execution. The 2 areas that agents need help with the most is being consistent with their execution and then their lead generation system. You get those 2 things figured out as an agent, you're doing all right. And then, of course, me as a leader, I have those things and as a certified expert. So you can tell I don't like talking about myself. Sorry. And so you get all those, and then you take it with the appropriate tech stack, which we have an incredible agent website, CRM follow-up tool in the websites that we give our agents. And you know what? The best part about our stuff is that this is our agent stuff. We do not intermingle into our agent's CRM. This is the CRM. The data does not belong to the broker. It belongs to the agent, right? We're here to help them learn how to nourish that basically that large field so that they can get the best harvest they possibly can out of that group. But we do not go out there and say that leads ours and whatever else. And I don't produce. I work with a buyer every once in a while just because I need to know what's going on out in the market, but I don't produce. And so you're getting those tools, the tech tools, the website, the back end system that we have, which is unbelievable. But the one thing that I'm the most proud of is a technology. And if you want to scan the QR code in the upper corner there, you can learn more about Requity. But it's a technology that our office has been using for about 6 months that we developed that helps our clients or helps our agents tailor and serve our clients at the highest level possible. And it's just an incredible tool that we use for onboarding. It's incredibly simple. You log in one time, you get your unique URL
And as long as you don't forget that URL, you really don't ever have to log back in again, because all the stuff will get emailed to you. Now, you can log back in, but there's no reason to. We're not giving you something else to remember to log into. And we're opening that up to everyone, by the way. And so there's a reason there that for you to scan that QR code, you can actually take your agent assessment to figure out how you work as an agent. And then you're going to get 3 free client profiles that you can use with the next 3 clients. And I'm telling you, the results my agents are getting with these are just absolutely incredible. You know, I've got agents who are going on their first ever listing presentation, competing with other agents that have been in the business for over 10 years and winning the business because they know how to tailor the presentation directly to how the client needs to hear it. And it's a tool that it's an unfair advantage. It is an unfair advantage that we're sharing with the world. So hopefully you guys take advantage of that. And then finally, when we go through all the tools, support, the culture, we already talked about me as a leader, but you want a comp plan that fits where you are. So we went through those levels earlier, and we have comp plans for every single one of them. But I want to talk specifically to the experienced agent right now. The experienced agent, everyone wants a cap, right? I don't know why. They want to put a lid or a ceiling on their business. And I like to look at the cap a little bit differently. I want to look at the cap as a launching pad. And the way that we're changing the cap to a launching pad in our CEO plan for the people who basically know that they can go out and they can sell $3 million or more worth of real estate without any problem, is that we're giving you full autonomy on how you want to structure your comp. You could set your own split. You could set your own monthly. You could set your whatever. You could pay it any way you possibly want, deal to deal. You could say, hey, you have a commitment to the company, and which is very competitive, by the way. And if you want to learn more about that, I'm happy to talk to you about it. There's a commitment to the company, and you could say, hey, I need all this check right now. I'm taking 100% of it. I'll pay, I understand what's going on. Or you could say, I've had a great month. I'm going to take these 2 closings and I'm going to put it all towards my commitment to the company. But it's not a cap. It's a launching pad. And it gives you the ability to fluctuate, to handle the way that the money needs to flow for you personally. And I think that this is going to be an absolute game changer in our business. So with that being said, I'm getting a little long-winded here. I just want to make sure that you all understand that we're all in this to make you, for forever, we've been taking the change the algorithm approach with, this is what the client needs from us. Now we're looking at it. This is what the agent needs from us. And we're changing the game on what we're providing for the agent and really making sure that we are that third option, that you can get high levels of support at a very competitive compensation plan and feel like you've got just training and development like nobody else. And it's another reason why we just flat out have our agents stay. Like, again, I've had agents who have left in the past, but our agents stay, right? I'm not worried about who's going to leave our company next year. And we're going to try to aggressively grow. So right now we're in Louisville and Danville. We've got 16 agents, and we're going to try to be at 26 by the end of next year. And we want you, if this all sounds good, could potentially be one of those people. But I want to be very clear. I'm not looking for everybody. We didn't build this model for everyone. If you're looking for a place to hide, if you just want to be a number, those big box brokerages are down the street. That's probably your best bet. If you want to be left alone on an island to figure it out for yourself, that discount broker would love to have you. But if you're tired of the trade-off, if you want high standards without the high pressure, if you want the safety net of a team with the freedom of a CEO, then I want to have a conversation with you. I'm not asking you to sign a contract today. I'm asking you to look at your business and ask yourself, am I ready to stop renting my career and start building an asset? Because if your business isn't where it should be, I want to help you build that asset. So send me a DM if you want to have a conversation. It's wide open. And I would love to hear from you guys. Have a great end of the year. And just know that we're always here for you no matter what. Talk to you soon.